It was a Russian bakery that first wowed the internet by decorating cakes studded with shards of chocolate. It's an effect that seems sort of sculptural and certainly makes you stop and stare and try to figure out how they did it. It turns out you can actually do this at home too. Yes. I'm excited to learn about this because I love to be in the kitchen and bake. So I'm here today for Brooke, Sheriff Park. Thanks for having me. And Mandy Merriman is here to show us how we do this. Okay, so first of all, what is the actual name of this technique?
It's a brush stroke technique, and the reason why is because it uses an actual brush to do that, just like a paintbrush. And it's super easy to master, but it looks like it's something that would be a little bit more complicated. So that's why it's so fun, because people think you're a genius even though it took you 5 seconds. It's the best.
It looks super fancy. I'm not going to lie. And that's chocolate. Is that chocolate or frosting?
This is candy melting chocolate, and you can get this at usually just at Walmart or any of your baking stores, and you can get it in any color, which is nice because it's so versatile. You can make it into so many different things. It's so whimsical, so beautiful, and super simple to master.
Really kind of an ode to fall. I mean, this looks like we've got like a tree trunk. Describe what you did here.
Yes, so my favorite part of fall is seeing the beautiful, bright, shining yellows up in the mountains against the birch trees. And so I thought, okay, so instead of just making this just a boring like white background, I wanted to make it a tree, and then I wanted to have those bright yellows just soaring right out of the side of it. And I created kind of an ombre look just to add a little bit more fun. So.
Wow, and what is let's talk about the technique. What do you have to do to make these strokes?
Okay, perfect. So it's a lot more simple than you would think. So
I love when you start with that.
So to begin, we have our little paintbrushes, one for you, one for me. And you start out by melting your melting chocolate. I usually do about a cup, and I put it in the microwave for 2 minutes.
Okay.
So simple enough so far. I take a spoon. We're gonna do a line of dabs first.
You're just doing this on your parchment paper.
Yep, just right on our parchment paper, and that makes it so if you need to transfer to the fridge to make it go faster to dry, then that works. These usually dry within about a minute, so that makes it really
very
easy.
Quick.
So we have this, just our little dab here, and then you can do it 2 ways. My favorite way is with the classic brush stroke. So I'm going to do one, and I'll have you do one as well. You hold it parallel to the surface.
Because you still want a base on it, right?
Press a little bit, yep, and then you just pull.
And just pull.
And this part is my favorite part, is that little like trickle at the end where it just has that gorgeous swoop. So let me have you try.
And it's still, I mean, you can see it even though it's very, very thin.
See that brush stroke. I've made a couple cakes this way. Isn't that fun? And so you can just swoop it to the side, and then you let them dry, and then they just peel up super easily. They just turn into these cute little brush strokes. And the way that I stick it to the cake, let's pretend like I just barely frosted this gorgeous cake and that these are dry. It usually takes about 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes to dry, depending on your temperature in the house and stuff like that.
How do you not let the kids eat all these?
How do I keep myself from eating all of these?
Not eating them as you go. Let's talk about some other applications.
Yes.
When it comes to this.
The ways that I've made these have been 2 ways so far. Well, 3, but 2 that have kind of caught on the internet pretty quickly. The first has been my flamingo cake. And what I did is I had a giant flamingo head coming out of the top made out of fondant. And then I had the brush strokes coming out the side to be the feathers. And it was so beautiful. I loved the bright pink. It was in the middle of summer. It just worked really well.
It seems so delicate.
It does. It seems a little more elegant, kind of a touch of sophistication. And like I said, it just took these 2 seconds to do it. And so that made it really simple. Another cake that I've made that was really fun was I made a pineapple cake.
Oh, look how cute that is.
And so instead of doing one brush stroke, I made a giant pulp in the middle, and then I just brushed all on the sides. And for these 2 particular cakes, I didn't use the brush like the classic way. I actually used my icing spatula, and that made more of a smooth finish versus the feathered look. And so either way works really well. Kind of a large cake knife like this, and you just kind of swoop it to the side like we did.
I can't tell you how important a cake knife like that is, though. Like you
it saves lives.
You
it
do
really
need
does.
one. Okay, let's see. So how do we put them on?
Once we stick it to the cake, so let's pretend I just barely frosted this cake. What you should be able to do is I usually start kind of on the top, and you could just stick it in, and it just sticks right into that buttercream.
Do they break easily? Do you have to be very careful?
I hold it by the bottom, just so that I'm holding it by the most strong part of the cake, and then I just stick them in. They usually stick in pretty well. I chose these colors. I think they're pretty fun. And then to stick it to the side, you do need a little bit of buttercream, just kind of on this little tip right here.
Okay.
I daub it on, and then I'll stick it in the side.
Are we making anything specific with this cake, or just some fun colors?
Just some fun colors here today.
Like we could make this into hair. It could be a couple different things.
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be fun to like make like a trolls cake and put the face on and have like the colors or something?
Do pink all around it.
Oh my gosh, okay, you just stole my next cake. I should have you in my kitchen, Will.
Can you do this with other chocolate, or do you need the melting chocolate?
The melting chocolate works the best. You can do it with like a Ghirardelli ghirardelli melted chocolate. That works just fine with like, that would be fun to do like a chocolate cake and frosted chocolate and have the chocolate
just be crazy
brush strokes coming off the top. So you could stick it to the top, and then what I'll do is I'll usually start to stick it up the side when this is wet, of course.
Yeah, and then it just stays.
Yeah, and it just
so
sticks.
Cool.
It stays, and it's so beautiful. I love this technique
so much. This is going to impress people. I mean, they're going to think that you are like the
how'd
best
you do that?
cake
It's like,
decorator.
oh, just a brush stroke. It's pretty simple.
Okay, so where can folks go for more information, learn more about your designs?
Yeah, of course. So my blog is Baking with Blondie, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm super active on there. I do Facebook Lives once a week. I also started teaching cake classes starting next week, and I'm booked through December, but I do have some spots open in my December class. So email me for information.
So there you go. If you want to learn the technique, even though we just showed you, it's very easy. Thank you so much for being with us today. What a cool idea.
Thank you.